I know I've been on a Divorce Diaries rant for quite a while now, but I just want to take a break to just remind you about this podcast and how I record it. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast everywhere. Seriously. On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's anchor.fm to get started, or download the Anchor app.
This guy is nuts. Is he really making daily recordings of his possible divorce and releasing it as a podcast? They both cheated on each other? She's making six figures and still doesn't contribute to any joint endeavors financially? Why is she still with him? Why is he still with her? I can't wait for the next episode. This helped me be a better wife. So this is how men think. I hate my husband less now. I understand my wife more now. These are some of the listener comments to the Divorce Diaries podcast. All over the map, I know. These anonymous accounts of events should resonate with anyone that has been married, is married, or is preparing for marriage, and helps couples avoid pitfalls as they might prepare for marriage. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
Good people can do bad things. And bad people, I don't know. I'm still wrestling with that. If bad people can do good things, or even if the bad person does do good things, does it make them any less bad? I don't know. Because acts are acts, but habits and your wiring are your habits and your wiring. Either more often than not, you do bad things, or more often than not, you do good things. And I believe that's probably the line of demarcation, what makes you a good person or a bad person. Welcome to the rebooted Divorce Diaries podcast, where I do not cry like a little bitch like I did before, and exclaim and cry into the microphone like I did in all of the first episodes that are no longer public, that I took down, because looking back, first, most of those podcasts were about the people in my life. This is about divorce. I have children, and I made a podcast. So obviously it was about my wife and the things that happened between us. And then our kids kind of found out about it, and it's like, how could you post this? This is so horrible, blah, blah, blah. Now, my motivation for posting that was, looking back in hindsight, I was very, 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 emotional, and I felt, quote unquote, unheard. So I wanted to be heard. Sure, I wanted to be heard by my wife. And what I really mean when I say be heard by my wife, I wanted to be heard and respected and tell me more, sort of thing, from your significant other. I wasn't getting that, so instead of going to go and talk to random strangers or whatever, like face to face, I just wanted to record a diary entry, and I just looked at it with a really warped view of no harm, no foul. I'm just going to record my feelings, and no one needs to know who I am, and no one gets hurt. And maybe, just maybe, I could help some people in the process as I'm going through my divorce. I don't know. A fool's errand, stupid thoughts, yes. Now, the interesting part about me recording the Divorce Diaries podcast with all of my toxicity and my crying and complaining and my bitching and moaning, everyone else so mad. How could you do this? How could you do this? How could you air my dirty laundry? My wife said it's like you're just talking shit about me on this podcast. I didn't think about it until a few weeks ago, but there was something that my wife didn't say. Sometimes I have to listen to what people say and what they don't say. My wife never said I lied about anything on the podcast. She just was so appalled, shocked, angered, and rightfully so, that I put this out publicly. She was more upset that it was out there. My truth was out there. And if you remember, if you were listening back then or something, whenever I recorded that, and this stuff may go up on Patreon, not to make any money or anything like that. I just want to put it, and I don't think I will do this, but if I do, I just want to put it someplace where people really understand that if you want to see a weak man and hear a weak man, if I do put them up, that's where you can find it. If you want to listen to a man that is having so much trouble maintaining the frame of his relationship, and I decide to put it up, that's where you'll find it. If you want to hear a man that wasn't accountable for his part as much as he should have been, you can listen to that. There are a lot of men that spoke, feel, and think just like I did. She this, she that. My wife this, my wife that. If she would just, then we would be. Blah, blah, fucking blah. And that's not true. That's not true. I was really arrogant as a husband. I was very arrogant as a man. And my arrogance may not be the arrogance that you think. My arrogance was, I'm a very smart guy. I'm smart. So I rushed through and or didn't even vet my marriage to my wife, and I didn't even really know myself, which was probably the biggest thing that contributed to me having a very, very toxic marriage. Almost from start to finish. We had a lot of good times, and there were a lot of things that were really good. And I believe that if my perspective was different during some of those good times, my wife and I could have been a lot happier than we were. But I think about that good person doing a bad thing, and bad things, good people can do bad things. Because I don't know, Bill Clinton did a lot of good things in the sense of his politics. He was very Bill Clinton was very open and able to communicate with the Republicans. Thank you, sir. You too, sir. Bill Clinton was able to talk to people on the other side of the aisle. Bill Clinton was able to, regardless of what you think of Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton was able to marry and stay married to this woman. He was able to trot himself out in front of everyone and say he was sorry after sort of perjuring himself, and I think he was actually impeached for lying to Congress. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Now, do those acts make Bill Clinton a bad person? I don't think so, because I think more often than not, is Bill Clinton the type of person that would manipulate people? And when I'm saying this isn't, I'm not trying to make this political, and I want to back away from the political side of, well, when you're campaigning, how do you think you get votes? You have to manipulate, and that's on both sides. That's not what I mean. I mean, in the way that like a pimp would, pimping out a hoe. Like, would a person say, would a person that goes up to a woman and prey on the fact that she has daddy issues, she needs validation, and you want to take her under your wing to sort of turn her out and make her turn tricks for you? I believe you are a bad person. I mean, deep down, could there be a good person? Maybe. But I do believe it has more to do with your acts. And if you are a person that will seek out weaker women that have more susceptibility to be pimped, then I think you are a bad person, because that is what you are doing and that's how you're living your life. Now, if you're a person that Bill Clinton, you're in front of Congress, you're in front of the Senate, and they're like, hey, did you do anything inappropriate with this woman, whatever? And he's like, shit, I got to save my ass, man. I'm not trying to give my whole fucking presidency off this bullshit. And he just says, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I don't think that makes Bill Clinton a bad person. I believe that makes Bill Clinton a liar that day with that thing. I believe it makes Bill Clinton a piece of shit husband that day to Hillary for that thing he did. But do I think that it makes him a bad person? No, I don't think it may. I mean, it may, but I'm just saying I don't think it makes him a bad person. And I did a very bad thing. But that bad thing that I did, it's like I don't live my life doing bad things to people. I don't live my life hurting, exploiting, and people. I don't do it. And it hurts right now because I'm being viewed by one or some of my kids as a bad person. And I get it. I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm not saying that I am. I'm not the arbiter of who is a bad person and who is a good person. That's not me. That's not me. That's not who I am. I've tried for too long in my life to be the arbiter of what's right and wrong, what's good or bad. And geez, it only made me come off as cocky and arrogant and self-righteous. I don't know. All I know is how I feel and what I think and what I try to do. And I try all the time to do what's right, what's righteous, and what's good. I'm not talking to my daughter. She says she hates me because of the bad thing that I did, and she has made that thing define me. And there's another thing when I try to kind of say the truth to another one of my kids about the incident where I did that very bad thing. She felt that because I don't know what she feels, but her mom told her the events that transpired. And if you're listening to this, hopefully most of us understand how people work in general. You're maybe one of two types of people, I guess. You're a person that when you're told something, you say, oh, thank you for telling me. That is how it happened. Done. Hook, line, sinker. Done. Or you're a person that might be, let's say, a detective or a lawyer or something like that. And that might not be your day job, but if you're a detective, lawyer, whatever, you may say, man, I understand that. Let's document that and let's go and investigate what the other party has to say and see if we can somehow find the closest version to the truth, because we got one side of the story. Let's try to get the other and see where in the middle we can find the truth. But my daughter chose the former, which I totally understand. I did a bad thing. And she took door number one. You did this, that means you are bad, and I never want to see you again or speak to you. Now, with that being said, I'm definitely going to try to, which is weird. I'm a very stubborn asshole with some things, and I can't take the non-righteous path in my view. And I'm not trying to get in my daughter's good graces, because I will say, for me to be where I am, I was never in my daughter's good graces. And I have to step back and not look at my daughter as my daughter. I have to look at her as the person that she is. While she's young. Which she's not. She's still a minor. People are people. And my daughter, what I have learned watching her interact with my son, her other sibling, her mom, and other people, she has always been a person that sort of writes people off. When they get to a certain place in her heart and mind, she is a person that's done with them. So I don't take this as, I was initially taking this as a personal affront. Oh my gosh, she doesn't, oh my gosh, it's happening to me personally. But after taking a step back and remembering some of the other events of her life, I remembered that she writes people off. This is how she operates. Instead of working through a problem, she will cut the bait on the problem and be done with that person and that problem. Because I believe, and I don't know what her because is. So when I say because, this is my because. It is hard going through the healing process with an individual that's hurt you. Going back up to the pitcher's mound, going back up to the batting box, whatever it's called, to take your swing. When you've been struck out 3 straight times, it's really hard going back up there and trying again. Or if you're the pitcher, someone hits 3 home runs off of you, it's really hard to try to get up there and fight through the mental stuff that's happening. It's really difficult. And I haven't yet seen my daughter do the whole, I'm going to work through it with someone. I did have to make her sort of work through the problems that she was having with her sister. I'm like, come on, you got to give it another chance. And I just hounded her. And their relationship got repaired. And I did it with my wife as well. And their relationship was repaired. My wife did work as well. And my other daughter was open to receiving her sister in her life again. Even though she was done with her. I'm done with her, and there's nothing you can ever do to change my mind. My problem, I'm not going to say I don't have that advocate, because I do believe my wife is that advocate, and I believe that she is trying to help the situation, and she's not trying to hurt it. And I think a lot of what my wife did to get us to where we are, they were not intentional things that she did to try to hurt. My wife doesn't realize that the help that she's trying to provide might be more along the lines of enabling, or the love that she's trying to give is more often than not disabling. But her heart, I believe, is in the right place, which is why divorcing my wife is going to be a hard thing. She's sweet, but she lies. And all of my episodes that I put up, that I took down with me just crying like a little bitch, none of it was a lie. My wife lies a lot. And in her mind, if she doesn't come out and tell you, like, I'm staring across the parking lot right now, I'm looking at a white Hyundai Sonata. Let's say, and I don't know who owns that car. This is a full parking lot. Let's say someone named Jerry owns that white Hyundai Sonata. My wife will say, I saw cars in the parking lot. I'm like, okay, why'd you go to that parking lot? I don't know. Why does anyone go to a parking lot? It was someplace to park. That's not a lie. Technically, that's not a lie. I'm like, unless I say, was Jerry's white Sonata there? Then she'll have to say, yes, it was, or no, it wasn't. But my wife's not that type of liar, because she keeps things so vague. And if she doesn't tell you, when you find out and you say it, she's just like, okay, that happened. So it's like, so that shouldn't have happened. Okay. Why are you yelling at me? Then we'll go to that. I'm not yelling at you. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think to tell you. I don't have to tell you everything, or something like that. The conversation will get sort of deflected like that. And then somehow I'm like, I'm sorry for yelling or whatever. And then I was gaslit and I let myself be taken off course. The fact was, you knew that you went somewhere with someone to do something, and you think that because you didn't overtly tell me a lie, you did not lie, which makes it so hard to keep trying to build a foundation with my wife, because there's always something she's omitting, always. And now that I have accepted that truth, getting this divorce is going to be getting a divorce because of my pragmatism is going to be a much easier thing, because I understand who my wife is now. My wife is the person that will omit details, but it's not just to me, so I no longer take it personally. I used to take it personally when she was talking to my daughter behind my back about whatever. And then I'm like, why is my daughter mad at me? And I found out my wife told her something and whatever. It's like, okay, got it. But damn, you're talking behind my back. Okay. Then same thing with my other kids. It's like, man, can you just stop talking to them behind my back? Or at least can we all do it together or whatever? Because I don't even know that. It's like I always have the feeling I'm walking into an ambush. I'm walking into a place where people are all much more informed than I am. They're in the loop. I always feels like there's an inside joke and I just don't know it. That feeling. So now I'm just like, oh, not having that person in my life. I mean, people say they want honesty and loyalty and all that, which really boils down to respect in their significant other. But really, think about it. If you know that the person that's talking to you, they just talk to you for 5 minutes, but there's like a bunch of other stuff, a quarter of what they could have said a quarter more to let you know fully how that whole thing went down. It's a really toxic relationship to be in and try to be building something with someone knowing that they lie. And it's very hard for me right now. I'll make it selfishly about me for a second, because with my daughter feeling the way that she is toward me, I don't look at it as a waste of time trying to talk with my daughter. But factually speaking, it could be a waste of time talking to my daughter. I get it. But still extend the olive branches and just be patient and do it over and over and over. And that's what you have to do. You are her father. You have to do that. You have to be the bigger person. Yeah. A smaller person, a petty person might say, fine, you don't want to talk to me? Fuck you then. Blah, blah, blah. You'll need me one day. My father did that. Really tough guy, bad guy. Does more bad to people than good. My daughter, I'm not going to say anything like that. I don't even feel anything like that. I don't think anything like that. But at some point, the rejection will take its toll. And eventually, I will feel more like I am disrespecting my daughter's wishes by continuing to speak to her and tell her that I love her. But I don't know. I'm going to sort through that. It'll work with my therapist, and I'll just sort through it and just try to figure out, hey, not how long do I keep this up, but it's like limbo, how low key you go. I mean, you can limbo under a bar that's 6 feet. You can limbo under a bar that's 5.5, 5 feet. Once you start flirting with that 4 feet, you fall. Twister, same way. It could just be more and more difficult. Yes, I can put my arm here or arm there, but as I start to contort and the game goes longer, I get more tired. You add another player, 2 players, 3 players. Eventually, we're all going to fall on top of each other in a pile of bodies. That's Twister. It's always like, You can only take so much. She may only be able to take so much until she snaps. It's okay. I'm grateful for even having the opportunity to have children. A lot of people don't. And life is long. Hopefully for me it will be. And the shit that people come through. Bill Clinton, Kobe Bryant, Hillary Clinton, Vanessa Bryant. Me, my wife, my kids, the things that people have to go through over the course of their life. Oh my gosh. Living this life is not for the faint of heart.
Wow, that was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The daily saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.